Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of the summer series The Whisperer, starring Carleton Young, not the Whistler, The Whisperer, as it was originally broadcast 71 years ago today, September 2nd, 1951. We thank you for tuning in on this TGI Friday, second day of September, 245th day of the year. We're 120 days away from a brand new year. In 2014, Home Depot, the source of a data breach in its self-checkout systems, millions of customers' credit card numbers were stolen. About 56 million credit and debit card information stolen, 53 million email addresses. It was the largest at the time. The director of the Centers for Disease Control, Thomas Frieden, cautioned the Ebola epidemic would be uncontrollable unless more workers were found to aid in treatment of victims and burial of contagious bodies. This was back in 2014. In 2013, swimmer Diana Nyad made history, becoming the first person to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage.
You have a dream 35 years ago. Doesn't come to fruition, but you move on with life, but it's somewhere back there. You turn 60 and your mom just dies and you don't know, you're looking for something and the dream comes awake again in your imagination. No one's ever done it. I'm not sure when the next person will do it. That's how hard it is to get everything right. And when I say everything right, with all the experience I have, especially in this ocean, I never knew I would suffer the way I did.
It was Nyad's fifth attempt to make the 103-mile swim. It ended up being the final one. Now, back in 1987, Donald Trump took out a full-page New York Times ad lambasting Japan, saying, "For decades, Japan and other nations have been taking advantage of the United States. The saga continues unabated as we defend the Persian Gulf, an area of only marginal significance to the U.S. for its oil supplies, but one upon which Japan and others are almost totally dependent." The ad continuing, "Why are these nations not paying the U.S. for the human lives and billions of dollars we're losing to protect their interests? The world is laughing at American politicians as we protect ships we don't own, carrying oil we don't need, destined for allies who won't help." And this probably was the beginning back in 1987 of what President Trump ended up doing. Catherine Evelyn Smith sentenced to 3 years in prison on this date in 1986 for the death of John Belushi. Alabama Governor George C. Wallace prevented the integration of Tuskegee High School in 1963. On that same date, CBS and NBC expanded their network newscast from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. A formal Japanese surrender ceremony held in Tokyo Bay aboard the USS Missouri on this date in 1945.
As President of the United States, I proclaim Sunday, September the 2nd, 1945, to be VJ Day, the day of the formal surrender of Japan.
The terms and conditions upon which surrender of the Japanese imperial forces is here to be given and accepted are contained in the instrument of surrender now before you.
Even as most Americans recognize August 14th, the announcement of surrender, as being VJ Day, and others recognize today as VJ Day, the actual signing, the official recognition to this date, recognized on the second Monday of August. There you go. Holocaust diarist Anne Frank sent to Auschwitz on this date in 1944. Communist Party of America organized in Chicago back in 1919. In 1901, Vice President Theodore Roosevelt advised us to speak softly and carry a big stick. Passing away on this date in history, Gilligan, Bob Denver, actor Troy Donahue, the man behind The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, Ho Chi Minh, the first president of Vietnam, and Alvin C. York, Medal of Honor recipient, all passing away on this date in history. This is the birth date of composer, conductor Hugo Montenegro, Billy Preston, Will It Go Round in Circles, and astronaut Christian McAuliffe. Happy 84th birthday to both the Mrs. Puff on SpongeBob SquarePants, also from General Hospital in Different Strokes, Mary Jo Catlett, and singer Jimmy Clanton. His big 1958 hit, Just a Dream, Just a Dream. Both Mary Jo Catlett and Jimmy Clanton turning 84 today. Rosalind Ashford from Martha and the Vandellas, 79 today. TMZ founder Harvey Levin, 72 today. Mr. Pam Dauber, Mark Harmon from NCIS, 71. From Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and John Wick, Keanu Reeves is 58. Actress, director, producer Salma Hayek, 56. And from Lost and the Drew Carey Show, Cynthia Watros is 54. Those just a few of the people celebrating the second day of September as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 71 years ago, September 2nd, 1951, Carleton Young starring as the Whisperer on this Friday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for spending part of your Friday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, going back 71 years to September 2nd, 1951, the summer series The Whisperer, starring Carleton Young.
Roger speaking. Rogers, listen carefully. Go ahead. The Syndicate has waited long enough. Stanley Hayes must die. Stanley Hayes? Yes. You will find him before tomorrow night. But when you find him, you will kill him. That isn't much time. If Stanley Hayes is not dead by midnight tomorrow, you will be.
Presenting The Whisperer, starring Carleton Young. The Whisperer, a brilliant man who, losing his voice in an accident which crushed his vocal cords, worked his way deep within the crime syndicate to help destroy it from within. To the underworld, his familiar rattling hiss is the voice of authority, to be obeyed without question. Then the miracle of surgery performed by Dr. Benjamin Lee restored his natural voice, enabling him to resume his real identity. Now, as Philip Gauld, aggressive young attorney, he skirts the thin edges of death, living his dual role. For as the Whisperer, he sets in motion the forces of the syndicate in Central City. Then, as Philip Gauld uses his knowledge to fight the organized network of crime, which seeks to control the fate of millions in cities and towns across the nation. only person besides Dr. Lee who knows the real identity of the Whisperer is the doctor's nurse, Ellen Norris. Now in Philip Galt's oak-paneled office, she listens as, in his Whisperer's voice, he reports to the Syndicate.
Circle 1798. Instructions passed on to Rogers. Stay on top of this Central City. This is Rogers' first job for the Syndicate and may require supervision. Where can I contact Rogers? Find Stanley Hayes and keep him under observation. If Hayes is alive at noon tomorrow, report back and we will give you full particulars on Rogers.
Oh, Bill, that horrible voice.
It was the only voice I had until Dr. Lee operated on my vocal cords.
I know it, but I hate the sound of it. I hate the terrible things you set in motion each time you use it.
We've been over all that, Ellen. I'm only the voice of the Syndicate. I pass along their instructions to their killers, and if I didn't, someone else would. And we wouldn't know what they were planning.
And you couldn't risk your life to stop them. I know all this, Bill. I know you're actually fighting them from the inside, but I still don't like it. Well, who is this Stanley Hayes, and why does he have to die?
I don't know. I've never heard of Stanley Hayes.
Well, then who's Rogers?
They never tell me that. The less any member of the Syndicate knows about the other, the less chance the law enforcement agencies have of getting the evidence necessary to smash the Syndicate.
An imported killer slips into tow. You tell him who to kill and then risk your life to stop the murder.
This is the first time I've ever told a trigger man that he'd be taken care of if he failed in his mission. I wonder what it's all about.
Now, let's start with the victim, Stanley Hayes. He can't be very well known in Central City, but he's probably in the city directory or the phone book. You take the phone book.
Right.
I'll look in the directory. How do you spell it?
I don't know whether it's with an E or not.
I'm looking under Hays.
You started from the back of the book.
I always do.
Oh, I'm more methodical. I'm in the Hayes with an E,
It isn't under Hayes without an E.
nor under Hayes with an E.
Let's try the reverse order now.
Okay. Have you seen the name in the papers lately?
Not that I can remember.
Well, in the phone book, it isn't under Hayes without an E.
I'm getting sick-tongued on this with an E without an E business, but it isn't in the directory.
Well, let's go down and check with Lieutenant Denvers. Maybe he can help.
He'll be suspicious of any questions you ask. I think he sometimes thinks that you're connected with the Syndicate.
Well, I've got to keep him away from that suspicion, Ellen. Because the day he can prove anything on me, I'll lose my freedom. I'm just old-fashioned enough to cherish that heritage of my American forefathers. Good morning, Sergeant Potts.
Huh? Oh, hi, Mr. Galt, Miss Norris.
What happened to the good Lieutenant Denvers?
Somebody did something and he's chasing him. Be back Wednesday. What can I do for you?
I have a legal matter to take up with a man named Stanley Hayes.
Hayes? Hayes? How do you spell it?
Without an E.
Well, make up your mind.
The spelling isn't important.
All right, try the city directory.
I did. From Aardvark to Zoids.
Got a phone book?
From Aronson to...
Wait a minute. What happened to Aardvark?
Dropped for non-payment of his telephone bill.
I'll play Santa Claus for you. I like to find a lawyer that doesn't know more than us poor dumb cops.
Water levels are falling. Use less water. Hello?
What?
City Water Department. That's our new slogan. Water levels are
Never
falling.
mind. Sergeant Potts, Police Department. Homicide.
Police Department is Nyan.
I know that. I'm in the police department. I want some information.
Information is 3. Fire.
Listen, Einstein, I want to know if you have a subscriber by the name of Stanley Hayes.
How do you spell it?
How do I know? How do you spell it?
Try it both ways.
Try it both ways.
Try it both ways.
I'll try it both ways. I have a Stanley R. Hayes, H as in honey, A as in aardvark, Y as in Y, and S as in...
Yes. What's the address?
126 3rd Avenue South.
Gotcha.
There is also a meter for Stanley T. Hayes, H as in haberdashery, A as in anaphagistine, Y as in Hebrew cereal, E as in endomorphizical, and S as in Sam.
What's his address?
Sam?
No, Hayes.
247 Bell Fountain Road.
Thanks. Wait. I never heard of endomorphizical.
You haven't?
No.
Well, neither have I, but there should be such a word. Remember, our water supply is getting shorter. Don't use more water than you order.
Oh. Here, take these addresses and get out of here. I'm a candidate for the booby hatch. Don't use more water than you order.
Oh, Mr. Mr. Hayes of 156 3rd Avenue South lives in a pretty ratty part of town.
You don't live down here. You crawl out of the woodwork.
If I were painting a mural of this section, I'd have a slit go rampant upon a field of bloody blackjacks.
Looks like a reject from Dante's Inferno.
Yeah?
I want to talk to you.
He ain't say nothing till I see my lawyer.
Mr. Galt is a lawyer.
Oh? What did you say your name was?
Galt.
Any relation to Gatlin Gun Galt, the pride of Portland?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's too bad. Very little scrapper, great. Never won a fight.
Mr. Hayes, we've made a mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't happen to be a fight manager?
I'm afraid not.
We'd better be going.
We could make a fortune. You line him up and I'll knock him down. There's millions in it. What do you say?
I'm not a manager, but take this 20 and plunk it down at the diner. We'll need food to keep in condition.
Yeah, well at that. Thanks, mister. What did you say your name was?
Galt.
Thanks again. Sure wish you was manager.
How horrible.
The fight game has big rewards for a few.
Poor, hopeless old darling. Lost in a world of shadows.
Yes. I don't believe the Syndicate is interested in that, Mr. Hayes. Now, let's try the one who lives on Bell Fountain Road. If this isn't our Mr. Hayes, we're fresh out of leads.
Well, there's one consolation. If we can't find him, neither can Rogers.
I hope so.
Yes?
My name is Galt. I'm a lawyer, and I'm trying to find a Mr. Stanley Hayes.
Well, Uncle's name is Stanley Hayes.
May I speak with him?
Well, Uncle isn't here. He left on his vacation.
Oh. I wonder if perhaps you might be able to help me.
Well, I'll be glad to try.
This is Miss Norris. Mr.
My name is Stanley, named after Uncle.
How do you do?
Won't you come in?
Thank you. When did your uncle leave?
Oh, yesterday.
Can I contact him?
I'm afraid not. Uncle never makes plans. Uncle drives until he decides to stop.
That's the kind of vacation I've always wanted.
Isn't that an indefinite way to go?
Uncle is indefinite about everything. I've lived here 6 months, and I know nothing about him. How he was able to retire, whether he's on a small pension, has investments, or annuities.
Then why would someone want to kill him?
Kill him? Oh, Uncle hasn't an enemy in the world.
This is very confusing.
Well, if you leave your card, I'll have Uncle contact you.
Thank you. Here's the card.
Oh, Phil, look at those beautiful fish.
I beg your pardon. Oh, those mounted on the wall.
I see several beauties. That one must weigh 8 pounds.
8 pounds, 11 ounces. It's Uncle's pride and joy. Every summer he goes to the coast and fishes as far down as time allows.
I envy him.
So do I. Thank you for your hospitality.
Well, I wish it could be more.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, we know that Uncle likes to fish. Uncle likes to disappear each summer, and Uncle is therefore safe from the Syndicate.
The nephew is either no fisherman or a liar, or both.
I don't follow you.
If Uncle has gone to fish, then he's not on the coast, for those fish mounted on the wall were freshwater trout.
Lake Okeechobee.
Right. It's the only lake within 100 miles where you catch fish like those.
I could do with an outing.
I'm going to call Lake Okeechobee and see if Mr. Stanley Hayes is up there. Then I'll call the Syndicate and see if we have the right Stanley Hayes.
Circle 1798.
Central City.
Go ahead, Central City.
Unable to locate Stanley Hayes. Where does he live?
His address was purposely omitted from your instructions.
Without this information, I cannot check on Rogers.
Hayes resides at 247 Bell Fountain Road.
Is he the right Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Is he at Okeechobee?
The operator there didn't know. Hayes lives on an island in the middle of the lake.
I get my outing?
Yes, if we hurry, we can make it by sundown.
The lake is larger than I imagined.
20 miles across. Hayes' cabin on the island out there is 10 miles from shore.
What are you doing?
I'm putting more gas in the outboard.
You know how to run this contraption.
By the time I reach the island, I'll be an expert. Now, you ready?
If I lived on that island, I'd hire the Queen Mary to go back and forth. It's going to be dark before we get there.
I know it, but I'll navigate by celestial bodies.
Just keep ours dry.
Now, I put the knot here, wind the rope around this gadget, so, and pull.
Do something.
Don't worry about a thing.
Phil, honestly, have you ever driven one of these before?
Honestly?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
There should be a switch.
In a minute, you won't have to worry about it.
Where did I put those instructions?
Never mind.
Careful, hang on. Hang on.
Hello there. Anyone interested?
Ellen, you all right?
Where are you?
Shine your flashlight to your left.
Coming? Well, what happened?
Gar Wood here forgot to read the 14th lesson.
Well, you certainly made a mess of that outboard. Hey, don't seem to have hurt the boat, though. Here, little lady, I'll give you a hand.
Thanks.
There we are. Now, what was your hurry?
We're looking for a man named Stanley Hayes.
You could have come a lot slower, and I'd still be here.
You're Stanley Hayes?
That I am.
Good.
Well, now, let's go up to my cabin, and you can tell me what this is all about. Here we are.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. I've just made some lemonade. Would you care for a glass?
Bet it's just like Mother used to make.
Yes, exactly. Except that I add one ingredient that she frowned upon. There you are, Miss Norris. And Mr. Gall. Thank you.
Does that voice sound familiar? Those are the dulcet tones of Julius Krellbein. Actually, it's William Conrad, but he goes by that name when he's working places he shouldn't. The Whisperer, September 2nd, 1951 on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Whether you're taking your pets on the road or a walk around the block, you need to be aware of heat stroke. Hi, I am Dr. Jose Arce, immediate past president of the American Veterinary Medical Association. It's important that pets get out and enjoy the warm weather and fresh air, but here are some reminders to help keep your pets safe in the heat. Tune into the day's forecast to see how hot it will be. Limit exercise on hot days or schedule walks earlier or later on the day when it's cooler. If outside, stay on the grass instead of the hot pavement. Make sure your pet has unlimited fresh water and access to shade. Never leave your pet in a closed vehicle, and leave your pet at home in air conditioning when you go out. If you see signs of heat strokes in your pet, such as excessive panting, drooling, unsteadiness, or abnormal gum and tongue color, call your veterinarian or nearest emergency clinic. For more info on summer pet safety, visit avma.org. That's avma.org.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station, an episode of The Whisperer, summer replacement series on NBC, as was broadcast on 5 p.m. Sunday afternoon, September 2nd, 1951. In the newspapers of that Sunday, that was 71 years ago, these were some of the headlines. The Allies and the Communists traded tough messages which sounded as if they were challenging each other to break off the Korean armistice talks already suspended. The first broadside fired by Vice Admiral C. Turner Joy, chief of the United Nations Command Delegation. He denied red charges that an Allied plane had dropped flares Wednesday over Kaesong, neutralized site of the truce talks, and that Allied troops fought into the neutral zone on Thursday. While this charge echoed across Korea, where armies fought while the truce talks idled, the Communists came up with a new blast. In the official broadcast, the Communist High Command charged formally that the Allies in a bombing yesterday had narrowly missed the Kaesong residence of Lieutenant General Nam Il, the chief red negotiator. The message to General Matthew B. Ridgway, Supreme United Nations Commander, declared, "We hereby solemnly point out to you, if you're determined to break up the negotiations, you should openly and formally declare your determination to do so, instead of ceaselessly carrying out such scoundrelly provocations." Russian Chief Delegate Andrei Gromyko refused to disclose Soviet strategy for the Japanese peace conference last night, as Secretary of State Dean Acheson warned the Pacific democracies have forged a strong resolve to resist aggression. Gromyko said no statement as he alighted from a transcontinental train with the rest of the Soviet delegation to the peace conference. Senator Benton, the Democrat of Connecticut, suggested yesterday a federal grand jury could investigate the Reds in government charges by Senator McCarthy, the Republican of Wisconsin, and that it could subpoena McCarthy if necessary. At the same time, he raised the question whether McCarthy isn't derelict in his duty under the law if he doesn't take his case to federal prosecutors and produce any evidence he has. And one of the handiest men around the huge bombers at Hill Air Force Base in Ogden, Utah, is 80-pound Shorty Osborne. Only 52 inches tall, Stanley Osborne can crawl into tight places in bomber wings and tails to make repairs. He's a mechanic, 25 years old. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, September 2nd, 1951, on your radio, The Whisperer, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Now, tell me, what brings you to my island? Well, as a lawyer, I recently obtained information which leads me to believe your life is in danger. Huh? Well, who would want to kill me? I hoped you could answer that. Well, I haven't the faintest notion. We talked with your nephew. Oh, Stanley Rogers? He's a fine boy. A little wild, but still a fine boy. Didn't he know you were up here? Oh, yes, of course, but it was supposed to be a secret. You see, I can't stand people who don't know the difference between a royal coachman and a gray hackle. Then that's why he gave us that song and dance about not knowing where you were. Oh, certainly, on my orders. Mr. Hayes, if something happened to you, who would benefit? Everything I have goes to Stanley. May I ask, is it a large estate? 51% of the National Traction and Streetcar Company. You see, I am a retiring person. I seek anonymity.
You certainly succeeded. That makes you one of the wealthiest men in the state.
Tell me, do you suspect my nephew of planning to kill me? No. Well, who then? Has a network of organized crime tried to gain control of your company? Well, not to my knowledge. If they were, I'd know it. Does this help you? Frankly, no. Well, now it's my turn. Of course. What did you intend to do when you got here? I hope to stay near you and help prevent your murder. Well, I appreciate your interest. But, under the circumstances, I think, you'd better return to the mainland. Now, I'm not going to shoot. I'm just not taking any chances. You don't think I'd warn you if I were here to kill you? This whole thing sounds suspicious to me. Now, put your hands up, Mr. Goldfella. You do carry a gun. I have a permit. It would still kill a man. Tomorrow, when they bring my cabin cruiser back from the mainland, I'll leave the gun at the store. I'll take this flashlight and walk ahead of me to your boat. Mr. Hayes, promise me you'll be doubly careful of everyone until after tomorrow midnight. Don't worry about me, Mr. Gold.
Oh, here's the boat.
I still don't see how we can row 10 miles at night.
That won't be necessary.
Why not?
Phil, flash your light over here.
Oh, no.
Yes. Someone stove a hole in it as big as a wash tub.
Mr. Galt, set out the flashlight.
Why?
Mr. Hayes has just realized that his murderer is somewhere on this island.
September 2nd, 1951, The Whisperer on this Friday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll go to the history books on Saturday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Edward Arnold as Mr. President. From 72 years ago, September 3rd, 1950, a different kind of loneliness. As Mr. President tries to put the country's economic house back in order, he also tries to get the White House repaired. Which president will Edward Arnold be portraying? That's a question that you'll have to figure out when you listen tomorrow to Mr. President, starring Edward Arnold. ABC did such a wonderful job with this show. They really did. Now the conclusion of The Whisperer. And Julie, I'm serious. William Conrad, when working for other networks, went by the name Julius Krellbein. He did. You'll hear that identified at end, and no William Conrad. That was just so he could get a paycheck, don't you know. September 2nd, 1951, Carleton Young as The Whisperer on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Philip Galt, known to the underworld as the Whisperer, a voice to be obeyed without question, has given orders to Rogers, one of the Syndicate's killers, to eliminate Stanley Hayes. Now, in his real identity as Philip Galt, attorney at law, he and Ellen Norris are attempting to save the life of Stanley Hayes, the man marked for death. Having located Hayes on his private island, they return to their boat only to find it wrecked and the killer lurking somewhere in the darkness.
My apologies, Mr. Galt. Accepted, Mr. Hayes. I hope you are not outmaneuvered. Because if I'm killed, that will leave you two marooned as the logical suspects. That would be rather difficult to explain. Let's work our way back toward the cabin. Yes. In the morning, you can use my canoe to get to the mainland.
Bill.
Where?
To your right.
No, it's only a stump. Mr. Galt, here's your gun. Thanks. I hope we will. Oh.
Bill.
Did you see him? No, but at least he's leaving the vicinity. We'll barricade the cabin and take turns at guard. Yes. Is this man a professional killer? I would guess that he is. And sometime tonight he'll make another attempt to earn his pay. Galt, yes. It's 2:00. I'll take over.
I'm not sleepy. Let me.
We'll manage. Want my coat, Ellen?
Not yet. But it is getting colder.
Hayes. Look, well, it's 3:00. I guess I must have dozed off. Have you heard anything? Not a thing.
Bill, does that offer of your coat still stand?
It certainly does. Yes, it gets mighty chilly up here, even in the summer. Galt, yes? Do you hear that? Motorboat. Yes. He's given up for now.
Dawn's beginning to break.
Wants to get away before daylight. Afraid we'll recognize him. Last night you said something about a canoe. Yes, I keep it for emergencies. Will it take the three of us to the mainland? No, only two. However, you and Miss Norris may use it.
And leave you here alone?
Miss Norris, I own this island. I can travel its length and breadth, and no one will see me unless I want them to. And we'll leave right after breakfast and be back by late afternoon. All right, Miss Norris, you can step into the canoe now. Careful. Yeah.
Somebody's fatty's a sipping monster.
Now, sit down gently, Ellen. Never stand up in a canoe. As I rolled up this fish net, it'll serve as a cushion for you.
Thanks.
There you are, comfy.
Ask me 10 miles later.
In 10 miles, I'll be too weak to ask you. Ready? Ready. All right.
Happy landings.
Well, that's an understatement.
We'll see you this afternoon.
Correction. I'll be hidden so you won't see me.
Phil, tell me something.
No. I've 10 miles to paddle, so I'm going to save my breath.
Good. You save yours, and I'll hold mine. Phil, it only took 2 hours. I'm proud.
Yeah, I'm pooped.
Relax. Well, I've had softer cushions than this fishnet. Give me a hand. My legs are full of needles.
Sure. Here. While I'm phoning the syndicate, you see if you can hire a motorboat or an outboard for the return trip. That'll restore your circulation.
Oh, you tell the syndicate.
Stanley Hayes is still alive.
Then they'll tell you who Rogers is and where to locate him.
Yes. When we know that, we'll figure out some way to keep him away from Hayes.
Circle 1798.
Stanley Hayes is still alive.
I see.
Oh, is Rogers.
Rogers is Stanley Hayes' nephew. He gave worthless checks to cover $60,000 worth of gambling debts. Upon the death of his uncle, these checks will be redeemed with interest.
Phil?
Did you rent a motorboat?
I tried everywhere.
And if we can't rent one, neither can nephew.
What has nephew to do with it?
Nephew is Rogers.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you all about it later. Now, come on. We better get a head start. Then he'll lead it all. I can paddle as fast as he can. We can't let him get to that island. If he does, his uncle will come out of hiding and there'll be a murder.
Here's the dock.
Yes, right. Now, you get in, Ellen. There's no time to lose.
There's a motorboat putting out from the mainland.
Probably a private party.
You don't suppose it's Rogers?
Let's not think about it.
We have no reason to suspect we know he's Rogers.
Why not? We tell him Central City. We think his uncle is to be murdered. Last night when we shot from ambush, he must have heard and recognized our voices. He's his uncle's heir. Everything points to him.
He's waving at us.
I can't recognize him.
I'll wave back. Maybe he'll stop. Could we put the canoe on deck?
Easily. That cruiser must be all of 50 feet.
Over here! Help!
For now, I see. We'll try to bluff our way out.
And if we don't?
Hello there.
Make it good.
Going my way?
I never pick up hitchhikers unless they're standing.
I'm afraid you just lost a customer.
I'll bring us alongside. You give Ellen a lift.
Glad to have you. You get to see Uncle? Just a little closer.
We spent the night on the island.
No, give me your hand.
That's it.
Oh, got my feet wet.
There. Galt, I can manage.
Where'd you get this beautiful boat?
Oh, it belongs to Uncle. It was on the mainland for repairs.
Now, give me a hand and we'll hoist the canoe aboard.
Oh, just forget the canoe.
Forget it. Huh. I'll dream of it for months.
Well, hardly.
And why not? They're my dreams, and I can do what I want with them.
Oh, now, let's stop this sparring. I don't know how you two learned about all this, and until now it didn't matter. If I hadn't missed last night, Uncle would be dead. And you two would have been found on the island with the body. But when you saw me just now in the lake, that makes you witnesses to the fact that I went to the island. And I can't afford that. It would wreck my elaborate alibi.
So, you let the canoe drift. We float to shore in a few days. The story gets out that Stanley Hayes was murdered by a man and a woman who later drowned while trying to cross to the mainland in a canoe.
Right.
We'll just stand still while you're doing all this?
That isn't a pencil pointing at you through this jacket pocket.
You're bluffing.
Let's take a vote, shall we? Galt?
Bluffing.
Then I'll waste a shot to prove it. I have plenty more.
You've also set your pocket on fire.
And you have tried an old weed.
Well, then stand there and let it burn you.
Hey, it is on fire.
Try hitting him with his life jacket. And if that doesn't work, this will.
Why doesn't he come up?
Come on to the pilot house. He'll swim under the boat and try to sneak aboard on the other side.
What are you going to do?
I'm no outboard motor man, but I do know about cabin cruises. I'll open the throttle and we'll cruise out a few yards. When he comes up, we'll let him come aboard or we'll follow him while he swims 5 miles. Now, hang on.
Phil! Don't cut the motor. It's a trick.
That was a man in agony.
No, Phil. He'll get us back here and he'll come up somewhere else.
Ellen, don't look.
Phil, I'm a nurse and... Oh!
Swam the wrong way. Police started the motors.
But propeller.
Yes. The Syndicate will never collect its debt from Stanley Rogers.
Society did.
Yes, Ellen. Another tool of the Syndicate has been destroyed. Let's hope it won't be the last.
Galt, will you tell me why this had to happen?
Because that octopus known as the Syndicate wanted to control your multi-million-dollar traction business. They courted your nephew's acquaintance and got him in with a fast crowd.
When he wrote worthless checks, they threatened him with court action unless he...
That's right. He had his choice of killing you or being killed. Had he been successful, they would have held the threat of murder over him until he signed away his shares of the company. I'm terribly sorry this had to happen.
It didn't have to happen. If he'd only told me...
Phil, we saw.
Yes.
Take the cruiser and leave it at the mainland. If you don't mind, I won't walk down to the landing with you.
We understand, Mr. Hayes. Good night.
Good night. Oh, Mr. Galt, how do you know so much about this?
Well, a lawyer has his own sources of information, and you realize I must protect them.
Yes, of course. Keep on fighting, Mr. Galt. I wish more of us could join you.
Good night.
Well, thank heavens we don't have to go home by canoe. Still, I'll never get in one again as long as I live.
Never make definite statements, Ellen.
I mean it. I wouldn't get in a canoe again to save my life.
Definite statements are easy to make, but difficult to keep. Oh, here's the landing.
But where's the cruiser?
Well, it isn't here.
But it has to be.
Look out there on the moon path.
Oh, no. It's the cruiser.
I'm afraid I didn't tie it very tight.
You didn't tie it, period.
Well, it's still away.
Not the canoe.
Moonlight night?
But I said I'd never...
Water and moonlight.
Oh, well, lead the way.
The Whisperer. Circle 1798. Central City reporting. Rogers was killed in boating accident. We will tear up his checks. For further instructions, call Birmingham at midnight. Birmingham at midnight.
The Whisperer is based upon stories and characters created by Stetson Humphrey. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Carleton Young is starred as the Whisperer. Betty Moran is Ellen. Others in the cast were Jerry Hausner, Julius Kralbein, Peter Leeds, and Betty Lou Gerson. The Whisperer was written, produced, and directed by Bill Karn. Original music by Johnny Duffy. This is Don Rickles inviting you to listen next week to another exciting adventure with
The Whisperer.
5 p.m. Eastern Time on September 2nd, 1951, 71 years ago today, The Whisperer on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Listen, we appreciate you making us a part of your day this week. Would you please take a moment to thank this radio station and support their advertisers? It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. We appreciate them, and we hope you will thank them for us, won't you please? If you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. If you go to my webpage, classicradio.stream, you can stream our shows on demand. There's a link of websites and applications that you can use to either download our shows, or you can also stream them to your phone. You can learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You'll find links to our social media sites. You can contact me through classicradio.stream, and you can also buy me a coffee. Now, the Buy Me a Coffee function helps us acquire new classic radio collections. We've just acquired some more editions of Captain Midnight. We've also acquired Casey Crime Photographer for the first time for us to bring to you here on this program. And that's all at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.